You're sitting in a meeting, or maybe it's a dinner party, a classroom, a group conversation that somehow turned into a performance. Everyone is talking, voices overlap, opinions fly like confetti, and you're just sitting there, listening, watching, processing every word, every micro expression, every shift in tone that nobody else seems to notice. And later, someone will say it. They always do. You're so quiet. Like it's a diagnosis, like silence is a symptom of something missing. But here's what they never stop to consider. What if your silence isn't empty? What if it's full? What most people read as shyness, awkwardness, or disengagement is often something entirely different. Psychologists call it stimulus processing sensitivity, a neurological trait where the brain takes in more information per second than average and processes it at a deeper level. You're not zoned out, you're running a more complex operating system, and it requires something that loud rooms rarely offer: space. Think of it this way. Most people in a conversation are playing tennis. The ball comes, they hit it back. Fast, reactive, instinctive. But your mind isn't playing tennis. Your mind is playing chess. You're 3 moves ahead. You're seeing patterns in what people are saying, what they're avoiding, what they actually mean underneath the words they chose. And chess doesn't reward speed, it rewards depth. This is why quiet people often say the one thing in a room that changes the entire conversation, not because they were waiting for the right moment, because they were building something internally that the room didn't have the patience to build on its own. Neuroscience backs this up. Research from the labs of Dr. Aaron and others has shown that the brains of more reflective individuals show greater activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for deep thinking, planning, and self-awareness. Meanwhile, people who dominate conversations tend to show more activation in the reward centers of the brain. They're not necessarily thinking more clearly, they're getting a dopamine hit from being heard. There's a difference between wanting to speak and having something to say. And here's the part no one talks about. Quiet people are often doing the most sophisticated social processing in the room. You're reading body language, you're tracking contradictions, you're sensing the emotional undertow of a conversation that everyone else is floating above. That's not a lack of social skill, that's an excess of social intelligence operating beneath the surface. But the world isn't designed to reward depth, it's designed to reward volume. The loudest voice gets the promotion, the fastest answer gets the credit. And so you grow up believing something is wrong with you. You internalize this idea that your quietness is a limitation, that you need to come out of your shell, as if your inner world is a cage and not a cathedral. Let me be clear. There is nothing broken about a mind that thinks before it speaks. There is nothing weak about someone who observes before they act. And there is absolutely nothing small about a person who chooses their words like they actually matter. What you have is not a social deficiency, it's a cognitive style. Psychologists sometimes refer to this as the depth of processing dimension, one of the 4 core pillars of high sensitivity. It means your brain defaults to a more thorough, more layered analysis of everything: conversations, decisions, people, yourself. You live at a resolution most people never access. And yes, that can be exhausting, but it's also the reason your insights tend to land differently when you finally let them out. You don't need to become louder to be seen. You need to stop measuring your value by someone else's volume. Here's a frame worth keeping. Think of yourself as a deep water current in a world obsessed with surface waves. The waves are visible, they're dramatic, they crash and spray and everyone watches. But it's the deep current that actually moves the ocean. It shapes coastlines, it shifts temperatures, it determines where everything eventually flows. You won't always be seen, but you will almost always be felt. So no, you are not just quiet. You are someone whose mind works in long form in a world addicted to short takes. You are someone who trades speed for accuracy, noise for meaning, reaction for reflection. And that is not a flaw in your design. That is the design. The smartest person in the room isn't always the one talking. Sometimes it's the one who made everyone else think harder just by finally saying one sentence. If this felt like something you've carried but never had the words for, you're in the right place. Subscribe for more psychology that doesn't just inform you, it recognizes you.